I think the Chabot signing in Ottawa is a pretty interesting story.
I think that there are a lot of people who don't understand the ramifications of what Thomas Chabot just did. So let's start there. It's been a busy off-season for the Ottawa Senators, Sixero.
And today they announced even more good news regarding one of their key young pieces, and I am a fan. Thomas Chabot, 8-year, $64 million extension with the Sens. The 22-year-old set career highs last season in goals and assists, while also finishing top 10 in scoring amongst all NHL blue liners. Both Thomas Chabot and Sens GM Pierre Dorion spoke to the media earlier today.
When a team says that they want to rebuild and you're the big part of it, I think you're just lucky to have that. To be honest, it's a big chance for you as a hockey player. So, I mean, when, like you mentioned, Whitey signed, and now for me to sign for the next couple of years, I think this is just where I want to be. I love the city. I love the fans here.
For us, we've had a plan. We knew that there'd be some tough days, but now we're looking forward to the great days, and getting Thomas under contract is part of our long-term plan. There's a long-term process here, but we feel we're definitely headed in the right direction. Having Thomas play probably for the 9 prime years of his career for the Ottawa Senators is a great thing for our fans.
All right, Timmy. Does locking up their young stud defenseman bring some more stability? Sorry. For the Senators, does this bring more stability?
Sweet.
I can't even say it.
You can't say it?
Hold on. I'm going to give me another
One more
chance.
try. Yeah,
Forgive me.
yeah,
Forgive me.
Oh, no problem.
Does this bring more
Stability.
Thank you. To the Ottawa Senators, an organization that recently hasn't seemed like they have a lot of stability?
Well, for those who don't remember, Erik Karlsson, Mark Stone,
Matt Duchene.
Matt Duchene,
Kind of.
Hoffman,
kind of. It's different context, but
a little bit different. They didn't want to sign guys.
Yeah.
And we started this conversation with Colin White. Was this a good sign that Colin White was saying, I'm the guy that will stay? And now Thomas Chabot, after we talked to him in Chicago, and he let on a little more than I thought he was going to let on when we talked to him in Chicago. Do you remember that conversation?
He was pretty good. Yeah, he was.
For those who didn't watch the show when we were in Chicago for NHL Media Day, we talked to Thomas Chabot, and he seems like a very bright young man. But he kind of let on that, at least in my mind, I was reading between the lines, that maybe something was coming down the pipe. And we had heard some rumors.
There's been a lot of stuff out there, yeah.
So we kind of figured it out, put A and B and C together. But I think for Ottawa Senators fans, you want guys to want to play for your team. You can see it all across Canada with different franchises where it's just nice to have someone who likes you back. And Thomas Chabot, they may have overpaid to make sure that he liked them back for the early going of this deal. But I think that by the time this deal is done, Thomas Chabot's deal will look good. And I don't know necessarily that a lot of people, when looking at these deals and making comparisons to a Provorov or a McAvoy or even a Josh Morrissey, think about how the cap is going to move from start to finish on all of these long-term deals.
It's a good point. To what you said, though, of overpaying for Thomas Chabot, I don't know if they're overpaying for Thomas Chabot. This is a guy already with 55 points under his belt in the National Hockey League. This is a guy who was top 10 in scoring among defensemen already last season in the National Hockey League. Provorov in Philadelphia is at 6.75 per year, Timmy.
Yep.
And they're paying him for the potential of what his offense could be. He's not there yet. And Philly still gave him $6.75 million. As far as I'm concerned, not only are you paying him for what he could be, but what he already is as a defenseman in this league, as a young stud in this league, learning and swimming amongst the Sharks in an environment that, quite frankly, would swallow other young players whole here. Not only has he been pretty steady, but he's gone to a couple of world championships, something you and I also talked to Thomas Chabot about in Chicago. He is learning international hockey. He is learning on the job in the National Hockey League, and he is earning the trust of Pierre Dorion and Eugene Melnyk, and quite frankly, a lot of fans of that organization. And you look at Brady Tkachuk, you look at someone like a Thomas Chabot. I still don't know where this goalie's coming from in the future. I'm sure there's somewhere in the organization. But I love this move from every angle. I believe in this kid. I take this kid over Jacob Trouba any day of the week. Call me crazy. But this is $8 million well spent. This is a guy who analytically is giving you everything you need on a pretty bad hockey team. Wait till that team becomes solid. So I love, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I love what the Ottawa Senators just did. I love locking this guy up long term, and I don't think the comparables are as nuts as some people are suggesting. I am all for this.
Here's what I struggle with, and I was looking it up as you were speaking to try and find the signing dates of all of these things, and sometimes I wish I had done the research before we came out here, but I don't know where you're going with it.
We have to research everything, so you're forgiven.
So, but like you look at Brent Burns, who's making $8 million a year. You look at Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who's making just over $8 million. Like, there's a lot of other comparables aside from the ones that just signed. And we do this often where the recency bias takes us to a number. And I kind of went back in my head and I'm like, this is why I think they may have overpaid, but you're overpaying now because you know that the cap eventually will move. Some people overestimated the way the cap would move this year, and they got bit because of it, right?
Right.
So it's not a guarantee that the cap is going to move anywhere. I think a lot of people can see on the horizon how the NHL might make more money. Gambling.
And TV
And gambling.
And TV contract.
Yeah, there's a TV contract.
Not as big a cough as the other one, but it's like U.S. TV deal.
In the United States of America, there is a U.S. TV deal that is on the horizon.
But not as big as
gambling.
Over-unders.
So I get why when you look at Provorov's deal and you look at this player, I like this player a lot.
Love him.
But he played on a bad team last year, and it's going to be interesting how this team grows and evolves and when they start adding, because you know they are going to have an unprecedented run of success in Ottawa. I'm not sure if you've been told that, but there is an unprecedented run of success coming under Pierre Dorion and Eugene Melnyk. So it's nice to see a guy who did not get any bonus money in this deal, right?
Yeah.
Which might be a reason why the number was so high over 8 years too. But I'm not trying to diminish the player.
No. I know you're not.
And I hate that if you're saying that I think they overpaid for him, that I'm diminishing the player in some way, shape, or form.
No.
I'm not.
No.
I think he's a great young player.
Nowadays, one has very little to do with the
Among the very best defensemen
Yeah.
at his age in the league, if not the best defenseman at his age in the league. But I think there are a couple factors that worked into this, and some of it was what you just saw, what they're paying him over the term of this deal, and a bunch of people that you know in places like Toronto that got their cash money up front.
Yes.
And he did not get any of that, but he got an 8-year, $8 million per deal that will pay him $64 over the term, and he is and probably should be good with that.